Part 1. The peace you're chasing isn't real. Let's start with something honest. We all want peace. We say we want money, success, love, a better body, a better life. But underneath it all, it's peace we're really chasing. That quiet hum inside when everything just feels still. Not dead still. Not empty. Just calm. Balanced. Whole. But here's the twist. Most of us don't even know what real peace feels like anymore. We think it's lying on a beach, sipping something cold, the sun warming our legs while the phone is off. Or maybe it's sitting on a mountain watching the clouds roll by, far away from noise, people, deadlines, drama. Sounds peaceful, right? But you know what's funny? I've known people who traveled halfway across the world to find that scene. And you know what they found? Their anxiety was right there with them. Their mind still raced. Their chest still tightened. The same thoughts played on repeat, like some cursed playlist from a broken jukebox. So maybe that wasn't real peace either. The mirage we keep running toward. Let's imagine you're standing in the middle of a desert. Far off in the distance you see water, an oasis. You walk and walk, desperate for it. But as you get closer, it vanishes. Because it was never there, just a mirage. That's the kind of peace most of us chase. We think, if I just get this job, I'll finally relax. If I move to a quieter place, I'll finally feel calm. If I meet the right person, everything inside me will settle down. But every time we get close, it disappears. Or worse, we get there and still feel empty. That's the moment it hits. Maybe the peace we've been looking for out there was never out there to begin with. The monk who left and still felt lost. Let me tell you a story. A young monk, restless and anxious, once asked his teacher, "Master, I want to find peace, real peace, but this monastery is too noisy. The people, the chores, the conversations, they distract me. I need silence to go deeper." The old master nodded and gave his blessing for the young monk to leave. The monk went to a remote cave in the Himalayas. No people, no noise, just wind, birds, and his own breath. For the first few days, it was magical. He meditated, he read, he listened to the stillness. But soon the silence became unbearable, not because of the world, but because of himself. His thoughts grew louder. His past came up, his doubts screamed. There was no one to distract him now, no one to blame. After months, he returned. The master saw him and smiled gently. "Did you find what you were looking for?" The monk, tears in his eyes, said, "I thought the noise was outside, but it was inside me the whole time." Let's be real, we're not at war with the world. We're at war with our thoughts. You could be lying in the softest bed in the quietest cabin and still feel like you're drowning. You could be surrounded by people who love you and still feel isolated. You could be doing everything right and still not sleep well at night. Why? Because real peace isn't found in silence. It's found in understanding. What we think will bring peace, but doesn't. Here's a list that might sting a little, and trust me, I've checked off most of these myself. More money. It solves problems, yes, but it doesn't silence the inner critic. A perfect relationship. You'll still have to face your own shadows eventually. A better body. You can love your mirror and still hate your mind. Success. There's always another mountain, another thing to prove. Retreats, getaways, escapes, temporary bandages. Soothing, yes. Healing, rarely. We keep putting peace on the other side of achievement. But peace isn't a reward. It's not something you earn. It's something you learn. The puzzle of inner calm. So what is real peace then? Let me offer something simple, even if it sounds a bit poetic. Peace is the space between thoughts where you remember you're not your mind. Let that sit for a second. Peace isn't the absence of pain. It's the absence of resistance to pain. Peace isn't having everything go right. It's being okay, even when things go wrong. Peace doesn't mean you're untouched by life. It means you're undisturbed by its chaos. What if you've already felt it? Think back. Can you remember a moment, just a small one, when you felt at peace? Maybe it was after a long cry. Maybe it was while holding a sleeping child. Maybe it was when you stopped running, mentally or physically, and just let go. It didn't last long, but it was real. That's the feeling. That's the thread. It's not foreign to you. It's just rare, because we keep getting in our own way. Why most people will never find it, not because they're incapable, not because they're broken, but because peace requires something most people avoid. Stillness, and not just the physical kind. Mental stillness, emotional stillness. A pause from reacting, a breath between thoughts, and stillness is uncomfortable, because when the world gets quiet, our wounds get loud. That's when your old stories come up, your regrets, your shame, the stuff you buried under busyness. Most people run, back to the noise, back to distraction, but the few who stay, they find the gold, because peace isn't hiding, it's waiting. The truth that hurts before it heals. If you're constantly looking for peace outside of yourself, you'll always be chasing and never arriving. That hurts, doesn't it? Because we've all been sold a lie that something or someone out there will finally make us feel whole. But real peace? It starts when you stop. Stop chasing, stop running, stop resisting what is. It starts when you breathe and say, maybe I already have what I need. Imagine this. Imagine waking up tomorrow and not needing the world to be different to feel okay. Imagine being in the same life, but not needing it to fix you. Imagine sitting in silence, not bored, not anxious, just present. That's not fantasy, that's real peace, and it's closer than you think. Closing reflection, part 1. Here's what I want you to sit with. You don't need to find a mountaintop to be at peace. You don't need to quit your job or escape your life. But you do need to question the stories in your mind. You do need to let go of the lie that peace lives somewhere else, because it doesn't. It lives here. Now underneath the noise, still, steady. You, part 2. The loudest noise is in your head. Let's not sugarcoat it. Most of the noise ruining your peace doesn't come from outside. It's not the traffic, it's not the email overload. It's not even the people who push your buttons. It's the endless conversations in your own head. You know the ones I mean. Why did I say that? What if something goes wrong? Did they mean something by that look? I'm not doing enough. I should be doing more. Thoughts like a dripping tap. Steady. Annoying. Never ending. Welcome to the monkey mind. In Buddhism, there's a term for this inner chaos. The monkey mind. It's the restless, jumping, nervous energy inside your head that never lets you settle. It leaps from branch to branch, from the past to the future, from fear to desire, rarely staying still. Ever tried to meditate and ended up planning dinner? Ever tried to focus and found yourself reliving a conversation from 2 years ago? Yep, that's your monkey mind doing cartwheels. It's not broken, it's just noisy. But here's the catch. Most people think those thoughts are them. They don't see the monkey. They think they are the monkey. Here's the truth. You are not your thoughts. Let me say that again, because it might be the most important sentence in this entire journey. You are not your thoughts. You're the one watching those thoughts. It's like sitting on the side of a road, watching cars pass by. The cars are your thoughts, but you're not the cars. You're the observer. Some cars are loud, some are weird, some are beautiful, and some are terrifying, but they're just passing through. You don't chase every car, you don't jump in front of them, you just let them come and go. Thoughts work the same way if you remember who you are. The illusion of control. Let's be honest, we try to control our thoughts. We try to fight the anxiety, shut down the negative self-talk, outthink the overthinking. But here's the twist. Fighting thoughts only feeds them. Try this experiment for the next 10 seconds. Don't think about a pink elephant. Go on, try. What happens? Exactly. That elephant is dancing in your head, wearing a tutu and waving. Why? Because resistance creates focus. What you resist persists. The more you try to shut up your mind, the louder it screams. So, what do? Befriending the noise. Here's the radical idea. Don't silence the monkey. Befriend it. Sit with the anxiety. Acknowledge the inner critic. Watch the stories play out. But don't grab onto them. Let them pass like clouds. This is the foundation of Buddhist mindfulness. To observe without judgment. To witness without attachment. You don't need to fix every thought. You just need to see it for what it is. A temporary visitor. And here's the magic. When you stop feeding the monkey, it slowly starts to settle. A simple practice that works. Let me walk you through something ancient and simple. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes. Now ask yourself, what will my next thought be? Wait. Just wait. You'll notice a gap. A pause. That's the space before the monkey speaks. That's you, the awareness behind the thought. It doesn't last long at first, but that pause is real. And the more you return to it, the more peace you'll feel. Because in that space, there's no noise. Just you. Clear, open, still. But what about anxiety? Yes, that familiar beast. Anxiety isn't just thinking too much. It's your nervous system reacting to imaginary danger. It's your mind rehearsing disaster to protect you from pain. But here's what most people don't realize. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real threat and a mental image. So when you imagine a worst-case scenario, your body reacts like it's happening now. Your palms sweat, your heart races, your breath shortens, and suddenly, your entire peace is gone, all because of a thought. Pause, breathe, come back. So what's the antidote? Presence, breath, awareness. Your breath is the leash for the monkey mind. It anchors you to this moment, this inhale, this exhale. Try this. Inhale slowly for 4 counts. Hold for 4 counts. Exhale for 6 counts. Repeat for a minute. Feel your body return. Feel your mind slow down. You just took back your peace without changing anything outside you. A story from a monk's life. There was once a young novice who asked his teacher, "Master, how can I stop the endless thoughts in my head? I try and try, but they won't go away." The master smiled and gave him a bowl full of water. "Now walk with this bowl across the monastery without spilling a drop," he said. The boy focused intently, every step slow and careful. When he returned, proud of himself, the master asked, "Did your thoughts bother you?" "No," the boy replied, surprised. "I was too focused." The master nodded. When your mind is focused on now, the noise fades on its own. What steals your attention steals your peace. These days, distraction is a lifestyle. We scroll, we swipe, we click, we refresh, and we wonder why we feel scattered, anxious, overwhelmed. Peace isn't hard to find. It's just hard to keep when your attention is always somewhere else. Here's a painful truth. Every time you give your attention to something pointless, you rob your own calm. It's like leaving the door open during a storm and then blaming the wind for making a mess. The cycle of overthinking. Here's what most of us go through daily. 1. Something triggers us. 2. We start thinking about it. 3. We create a mental movie. 4. That movie causes emotions. 5. Those emotions feed more thoughts. 6. And we spiral. It's exhausting, but it's also optional, because the moment you see the cycle, you're no longer trapped in it. Awareness breaks the loop, and once you break the loop, you create space, and in that space, peace quietly walks in. Mental cleanliness equals emotional clarity. Let's borrow an analogy from Zen. Your mind is like a garden. Thoughts are seeds. Emotions are the weather. Habits are the soil. If you let every weed grow unchecked, your peace gets choked. But if you notice early, pull the weed, water the right seeds, tend to the soil, your mind becomes a place worth living in. You don't need to turn it into paradise overnight. Just start clearing space. Little by little, peace will find its way back. Stop performing for a mind that doesn't rest. This one's going to sting. We spend so much energy trying to be impressive to people who aren't watching, for standards that don't matter, based on thoughts that never rest. Why? To earn the approval of our own mind. But your mind is a taskmaster that never says, "Good job." So what if you stopped performing? What if you gave yourself permission to just be? That, my friend, is peace. Real peace doesn't yell. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It doesn't demand attention. It's subtle, like a breeze, like a feather landing on your palm. You might miss it if you're looking for a grand arrival, but once you know what to feel for, you'll notice it's always nearby, just behind the noise, just under the chaos. Waiting. Final thought, part 2. Here's something gentle to take with you. Your mind will never be completely quiet. That's okay. Peace isn't about silence. It's about space between the noise. A deep breath, a single pause, a soft letting go. That's all it takes to return. Because peace isn't something you find. It's something you return to. What steals your attention steals your peace. These days, distraction is a lifestyle. We scroll, we swipe, we click, we refresh, and we wonder why we feel scattered, anxious, overwhelmed. Peace isn't hard to find. It's just hard to keep when your attention is always somewhere else. Here's a painful truth. Every time you give your attention to something pointless, you rob your own calm. It's like leaving the door open during a storm and then blaming the wind for making a mess. The cycle of overthinking. Here's what most of us go through daily. 1. Something triggers us. 2. We start thinking about it. 3. We create a mental movie. 4. That movie causes emotions. 5. Those emotions feed more thoughts. 6. And we spiral. It's exhausting, but it's also optional, because the moment you see the cycle, you're no longer trapped in it. Awareness breaks the loop, and once you break the loop, you create space, and in that space, peace quietly walks in. Mental cleanliness equals emotional clarity. Let's borrow an analogy from Zen. Your mind is like a garden. Thoughts are seeds. Emotions are the weather. Habits are the soil. If you let every weed grow unchecked, your peace gets choked. But if you notice early, pull the weed, water the right seeds, tend to the soil, your mind becomes a place worth living in. You don't need to turn it into paradise overnight. Just start clearing space. Little by little, peace will find its way back. Stop performing for a mind that doesn't rest. This one's going to sting. We spend so much energy trying to be impressive to people who aren't watching, for standards that don't matter, based on thoughts that never rest. Why? To earn the approval of our own mind. But your mind is a taskmaster that never says, "Good job." So what if you stopped performing? What if you gave yourself permission to just be? That, my friend, is peace. Real peace doesn't yell. It doesn't show up with fireworks. It doesn't demand attention. It's subtle, like a breeze, like a feather landing on your palm. You might miss it if you're looking for a grand arrival, but once you know what to feel for, you'll notice it's always nearby, just behind the noise, just under the chaos. Waiting. Final thought, part 2. Here's something gentle to take with you. Your mind will never be completely quiet. That's okay. Peace isn't about silence. It's about space between the noise. A deep breath, a single pause, a soft letting go. That's all it takes to return. Because peace isn't something you find. It's something you return to. Hours passed in silence. Finally, the younger monk blurted out, "Why did you carry that woman? We're not supposed to touch women." The older monk smiled and said, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Mic drop. You see, most of us aren't burdened by what happened. We're burdened by the fact that we won't put it down. The cost of clinging. Let's break it down. Every time you replay an old argument, every time you hold a grudge, every time you keep trying to fix something that's already broken, you spend your peace, and it's never worth it, because no amount of overthinking, obsessing, or analyzing will ever rewrite the past. But all of that can absolutely destroy your present. Letting go isn't about weakness. It's about choosing peace over powerlessness. What people get wrong about moving on, they think it means you no longer care, that it means you're cold or heartless. But here's the truth. You can love someone and let them go. You can miss something and accept it's over. You can wish things were different and still find peace with how they are. You're not betraying the memory. You're honoring it by no longer letting it control you. Life is lighter than you think. Imagine this. You walk around all day with a heavy bag on your back. You get used to the weight. You start thinking it's just part of who you are. One day someone gently reminds you, you can put that down. So you do. And suddenly, your breath deepens. Your spine straightens. You move through the world differently. That's what letting go feels like. Not dramatic, not loud, just lighter. Real peace has space to breathe. When you hold on tightly, everything feels dense, heavy, suffocating. But when you release, even a little, space opens up. And in that space, stillness, breath, possibility. That's the birthplace of peace. Letting go isn't losing. It's making room for what's real. Final thought, part 3. You don't have to be perfectly healed to be at peace. You don't have to forget what happened. You don't even have to stop feeling it completely. But if you can learn to hold it gently, without clenching, without fixing, you'll notice something shift. A small opening, a soft breath, a quiet ease. That's letting go. And that's where real peace begins. Part 4. Solitude is the place peace hides. Let's get something clear right away. Solitude is not loneliness. Loneliness is a craving. Solitude is a choice. Loneliness feels like being unwanted. Solitude feels like being free. The world confuses the two all the time because we've become addicted to noise, to company, to stimulation. Being alone is often seen as a flaw, a failure, a void to be filled. But the truth? Most people don't actually fear being alone. They fear what they'll hear when the world gets quiet. Silence is loud. When you're not used to it, you ever sit in a quiet room, TV off, phone down, and suddenly feel uneasy, like something's missing? You check your phone, scroll for a bit, maybe grab a snack, turn on some background noise. Not because you're bored, because you're uncomfortable. That's the conditioning. We've filled every corner of our lives with noise, not realizing it was a clever way to avoid ourselves. But here's the thing. Real peace only visits when there's room. And that room, it starts with solitude. Why monks choose silence? Monks don't live in caves or temples because they hate people. They go there because that's where the noise fades. They go there to meet themselves, fully, without distraction. In Buddhist monasteries, silence isn't punishment, it's practice. It's a space to watch your thoughts without reacting, to hear your mind without interrupting, to feel your breath without racing. In that stillness, something amazing happens. You realize most of your stress doesn't come from life. It comes from the way your mind keeps trying to fix, explain, or resist life. Solitude shows you that. Modern life is anti-peace. Let's be honest. We wake up and reach for our phones before we've even taken a deep breath. We check emails, messages, headlines, updates, before we've checked in with ourselves. And then we wonder why we feel anxious, heavy, drained. You know what? If your first thought of the day is about other people's opinions, schedules, or problems, your peace never even had a chance. Solitude isn't just about escaping people. It's about escaping the constant input long enough to hear your own truth. Your mind is a room with too many voices. Imagine this. You're sitting in a room and 20 people are all talking at once, debating, arguing, suggesting, reminiscing. You can't think, you can't rest, you can't breathe. That's your mind most days. Now imagine everyone leaves. Silence, stillness, and for the first time, you hear yourself. That's solitude. The sacred practice of being alone. In Buddhist teaching, solitude is a gate, not a destination. It's a way to touch what is real inside you, to peel back the layers of noise, identity, opinion, and conditioning. And in that process, you meet someone important, you. Not the curated version, not the social mask, not the productive achiever, just you. And it turns out, that version of you is enough. Solitude helps you remember what matters. You ever notice how some of your clearest thoughts come when you're walking alone, showering, or staring out a window? That's not coincidence. That's because in those moments, you've stopped performing, you've stopped consuming, you've started listening. Solitude isn't always about sitting cross-legged in a monastery. Sometimes it's a long drive with no music, a slow meal eaten alone, a quiet afternoon where you let the sun touch your face. It's those pockets of stillness where clarity sneaks in. Solitude cleans the inner house. Let's use a metaphor. Your mind is a room, and solitude is the broom. When you're constantly surrounded by people, tasks, conversations, and content, the room gets cluttered, dusty, loud. Solitude is how you sweep, how you clear space, how you make room for peace to settle in again. Because peace doesn't force its way in. It waits for invitation. It enters clean spaces. Why it feels uncomfortable at first. Here's something nobody tells you. The first stage of solitude is discomfort. It's withdrawal from stimulation, from validation, from busyness. It's awkward. It's unfamiliar. You might even feel sad, agitated, or restless. That's okay. You're not doing it wrong. You're just beginning to detox from a life addicted to distraction. Keep going. There's something golden on the other side of that stillness. Creativity, wisdom, healing, they all start. Here, you want answers? Go sit with yourself. You want clarity? Go for a walk, alone. You want healing? Spend time without numbing, without escaping. Solitude is where new ideas are born. It's where deep truths rise up. It's where emotional wounds begin to close. No therapist, no lecture, no app, just presence and a willingness to feel. Not everyone deserves access to your peace. Solitude teaches boundaries. When you learn to be okay alone, you stop chasing people who make you feel less than just to avoid being by yourself. You stop tolerating emotional noise just to fill space. You stop settling. Because now your own company is no longer uncomfortable. It's sacred. You protect your energy differently. You don't isolate out of pain. You choose solitude out of strength. A gentle practice. The 10-minute reset. Try this. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and a chair, or a floor, or a tree. Sit, breathe, observe, let your thoughts come and go. 10 minutes. You'll resist at first. Your mind will nag. You'll want to check something, do something, get up. But if you stay, even 5 minutes longer than you want to, you'll start to feel something shift. The surface tension breaks. Your shoulders drop. Your mind opens. And there it is. Real peace. The story of the bell that rang in stillness. An old Zen master had a bell in his temple. Beautiful, delicate, carved from sacred metal, but it never rang. One day, a student asked, "Why doesn't the bell ring?" The master smiled. "It only rings when everything is still." The student didn't understand until one evening, after hours of meditation, the wind stopped, the breath calmed, the mind settled. And then, a soft, pure chime. The bell rang, not because someone hit it, but because peace had arrived. That's solitude. It's the moment your inner bell gets still enough to be heard. The world will wait. You know what? The world isn't going anywhere. Your inbox will still be there. Your texts can wait. Your obligations, your roles, your duties, they'll still be standing when you return. But your peace is not guaranteed. If you don't protect it, nurture it, prioritize it, it slips away in the current of noise. So step away for a while. The world will wait. And when you come back, you'll bring something it desperately needs, a calmer you. Final thought, part 4. Solitude isn't about disconnecting. It's about reconnecting with your center, your clarity, your calm. It's not the absence of life. It's the presence of depth. And in that depth, peace isn't an idea. It's an experience, a quiet knowing, a soft return, a place you never really left, just forgot how to find. Part 5. Real peace comes with boundaries. Let's clear up a big myth about peace. Peace isn't just about what you do. It's also about what you stop allowing. Let that sink in. You could have the most mindful morning routine in the world. You could meditate, journal, sip herbal tea in silence. But if you spend the rest of the day letting people cross your lines, disrespect your energy, and invade your mental space, guess what? Your peace won't stand a chance. Peace needs a door, not an open hallway. Think of your inner peace like a sacred house. It needs walls, doors, locks, curtains. It needs structure. Without that, anyone and anything can just walk in with their drama, their chaos, their noise. And sometimes we let them. Not because we want to, but because we don't know how to say, this is as far as you go. That's where boundaries come in. Boundaries don't push people away. They protect your peace. Why it's so hard to set them? Let's be honest. Setting boundaries feels mean. It feels selfish, cold, guilty, especially if you were raised to please, accommodate, serve, or avoid conflict. But here's what no one taught us growing up. Being kind doesn't mean being available to everyone. You can have a soft heart and a solid fence. You can be generous and still say, not today. You can love someone and not let them drain you. It's not about punishment. It's about protection. Your peace is energy, and it's finite. Every time you say yes to something you don't mean, every time you bite your tongue to avoid making someone else uncomfortable, every time you allow toxic behavior just to keep the peace, you're spending your energy. And unlike money, you can't just earn more energy on demand. You need to protect it. Because here's the thing, real peace requires energy. And if everyone else is spending it for you, there's none left for you. Peace requires selective access. Not everyone deserves access to your time, your mind, your heart. Read that again. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your life. Some people, they belong in the balcony. Some, outside the building entirely. This isn't judgment, it's discernment. You're not here to save everyone. You're here to honor the peace you've worked hard to find. And sometimes that means stepping back from what you once leaned into. When saying no is the most loving thing you can do, here's something radical. Saying no can be a form of love, not just for you, but for the other person too. Because when you constantly say yes out of guilt or fear, you build resentment. You overextend. You show up halfway. That's not love. That's survival. A clear no creates clarity. It sets expectations. It honors both of you. Peace grows in that space. Practical boundaries for real life. Let's make this tangible. Here are a few boundary examples that protect your peace. Emotional. I'm not available to discuss this topic right now. Time. I can talk for 15 minutes, then I need to log off. Digital. I don't check messages after 9 p.m. Social. I'm staying in this weekend to recharge. Mental. I'm not taking on energy that isn't mine. These aren't walls. They're windows with locks. They say, you can be part of my life, but on mutual terms. Silence is a boundary. 2. Sometimes you don't need to explain. You don't need to defend your peace like it's on trial. You can just stop responding, stop engaging, stop showing up where you're not valued. That's not being petty, that's being peaceful. Not every confrontation needs closure. Sometimes peace is walking away quietly and letting the silence speak. The people who won't like it. When you start setting boundaries, 2 things will happen. 1, you'll feel guilt. 2, some people will resist. Why? Because the only people who get upset about you having boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. Let that truth land. Peace isn't always comfortable, but it is always worth it. You weren't born to be a sponge for everyone else's mess. You're allowed to exist, full, centered, whole, without permission. Not every vibe is meant for you. Energy is real. You can feel it in a room. You can feel it in a conversation. You can feel it when you're around someone whose words say one thing, but whose energy drains you like a leaky faucet. Here's your permission slip. You don't have to explain your peace to people who don't protect it. If it doesn't feel right, you don't need a reason. Your body knows. Your soul knows. Trust it. The monk and the visitor. A monk once lived at the edge of a village. People would visit often, seeking wisdom, blessings, or simply peace. One day, a man arrived, full of anger. He shouted, criticized, demanded answers. The monk didn't respond. He simply continued sweeping his steps. After some time, the man grew tired and left. A student nearby asked, "Why didn't you engage with him?" The monk replied, "If someone offers you a gift and you don't accept it, who does it belong to?" The student smiled. Your peace doesn't have to accept every invitation to chaos. You teach people how to treat you. Here's the truth that stings a little. People will treat you based on what you tolerate. If you constantly bend, they'll never learn where your edges are. If you always say yes, they'll never believe your no. Boundaries don't just protect peace. They train the world on how to respect it. And if someone refuses to respect it, that's information, not a failure. The afterglow of no. Have you ever said no to something and felt free, not just relieved, but powerful? That's your soul saying, "Thank you, you remembered me." Every no to what drains you is a yes to what nourishes you. And over time, you realize peace isn't something you find. It's something you allow by guarding the gate. A line to remember. Let this be your reminder. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if it disappoints others. Not everyone will understand. Not everyone will support it. Not everyone will stay. But peace was never about pleasing others. It's about coming home to yourself. And home needs walls. Home needs quiet. Home needs boundaries. Final thought, part 5. Real peace doesn't just bloom in stillness. It grows when you say, "This is what I allow. This is what I won't." It grows in your ability to walk away from noise, to decline chaos, to value your time, your space, your soul. And when you do, you don't lose love. You make space for the right kind, the kind that doesn't cost your calm,